Hi there, everybody. Maureen here. I'm taking advantage of Demon today, who is my favorite cameraman, because I wanted to let y'all know what I've been playing at recently. I haven't been online all that much, I haven't been on Facebook all that much, because I am deeply immersed in the practice of tarot. Now, it astonishes me to realize that I have actually been practicing tarot for over 40 years. So I'm quite an expert. And I learned how to read tarot cards um, as a young graphic design student. I'm not the least bit clairvoyant or any of those sorts of things, not really. Uh, because I wanted to draw a deck of tarot cards, which I actually have never done. I did once do the complete suite of cups, and then I had a very ill cat at that time who accidentally destroyed that whole suite. So I kind of gave up on it for a while and figured, anyway. I recently got the Stuart Kaplan book about Pamela Colman Smith. Pamela Colman Smith is the woman who created the the most familiar deck in the entire world, which has up until recently been mostly called the Rider-Waite deck. Rider was the publisher. Arthur Edward Waite was the member of the Golden Dawn who commissioned Pamela Colman Smith to design this deck. But I am going to call it the Pamela Colman Smith mostly from this time forward, because she has imbued a great deal of herself into this artwork, and she's performed a little magic of her own, which I won't dwell on right here. But much thanks to Stuart Kaplan, who's passed on, unfortunately, I think, since this book was released. But another very cool thing about this, it's a very comprehensive biography, as comprehensive as it can be, because very, very sadly, Pamela Colman Smith died in obscurity, impoverished, and her gravesite is actually unknown. Even though her tarot deck, and I'm sure her ghost is delighted, Edith, you let us know, with the renown she has achieved posthumously. Her tarot is alive and well and has inspired artists ever since it was reintroduced into in the Western Hermeticism has a really fascinating history. So much fun, so much scholarship, but so much just crazy stuff, you know? Anyhow, along with Stuart Kaplan, there were three other women there were three women that co-authored this book, and one of them was Mary K. Greer. And Mary K. Greer wrote the book that taught me how to read tarot cards all those years ago. And this was a workbook, and it's still got all kinds of my information from way back then, from when I did the Fool's Journey. So I kind of decided that having just read the biography of Pamela Colman Smith, and I've never owned one of her decks. My very first deck was called the Aquarian deck, and it was very closely based on, as are most decks, based on the writer, based on Pamela Colman Smith's deck. A. White was a member of the Golden Dawn, and I know a great deal about them as well. So this time around, one of the things that I've been studying more in depth than I did the first time is the Kabbalah, and I've been mostly watching Jewish scholars on YouTube to understand the preliminaries of that. And I really, if you're interested in Kabbalah, look up Daniel Matt. Just not too long ago, finished a 12-volume translation of the Zohar, which I would dearly love to get, but it's like, I think it's over $1,000 easily. I can't afford it. So I listen to the lectures. But what I do have is Mathers McGregor Mathers translation of the Kabbalah, which is actually more pertinent because he was one of the founders of the Golden Dawn, and it is his understanding of Kabbalah, largely influenced by Eliphas Levi, that influenced the creation of Arthur Edward Waite's interpretations of the tarot, and subsequently Pamela Colman Smith made those archetypes her own and gave them as a gift to the world. So I know what the cards all mean. I don't really need to learn the cards. So what I decided to do this time, with the assistance of my experts, which I will introduce right now, this is Madame Zazuska, who recently joined Ghost Babies. She's been a gift in the making from my daughter. My daughter made this doll, and she comes with me everywhere. She's my traveling companion, and this is her little thing here going on for the moon. She's a sort of a Siberian shaman of the animistic tradition, which is very dear to both our hearts. Animals are hugely important to us both. And we have Edith here, who is a medium. She speaks to her brother who died tragically pretty much every day. And Madame Levinsky has kind of lent her Ouija board. I'm afraid of Ouija boards. So any contacting spirits, Edith does that. And then there's Madame Levinsky, who has her own deck of cards. She has a Mercedes tarot, and she has the same archetypes up here on her little platform that I have. And the very first card, yeah, so she is our senior advisor. If we're kind of, stumped for it. And this is just a sample. These are, I guess, it's hard to say. There's all kinds of dolls at Ghost Babies that have esoteric. There's alchemists, and there's, visionary poets. That's the Doka Sheheri, who's in the forest and doesn't like to leave the forest. Anyhow, so when I only just got this deck. This is the giant Pamela Colman Smith Arthur Edward Waite deck. And I've never had one before, just one's based on it. But I decided that if I'm going to redo the Fool's Journey, I should do it with this deck after reading her biography, which I have just finished. So I was thinking originally that I would do it the same way I did the first time, and that is just the Fool travels through the deck to the world, and then the Fool comes back through the deck, having met all the archetypes, and goes back to the beginning, to the Fool in this deck was located not at the beginning as you would think, but because he doesn't have a number, he's pretty fluid. And I won't go into the meanings of the cards. I know I've got a lot of friends here that are no strangers to esoteric practices, so I won't bother with any of that, except to say that when I started to get all set up to do it, I really had a very strong compulsion to just do a reading and see what happened, an inaugural reading of the deck. So I did that, and I recently kind of was inspired to create a spread myself called the High Priestess spread. And that's what this is. And it has a lot to do with paradox and reflection. So the very first card that the Fool is going to have a conversation with on the Fool's Journey is death. And I have Madame Levinsky's tiny little Marseille tarot deck here. Marseille card deck. And I will give that back to her. And I have Pamela Colman Smith's death. Now, there's a lot of other cards in this reading, and it is going to be the first chapter. And then what I will do is I will just keep doing these readings, the same spread, the High Priestess spread, until all the cards in the deck have made an appearance. And we'll see how that goes. And I think I'm going to document it on WordPress. I don't know if anybody be interested in following this or not. I would certainly love anybody that's really interested in tarot to join us in our conversations about them. Just just for the fun of it, just because it's a fascinating subject. And I have joined a Facebook group called mytarot.org. And the gentleman that runs that page, he does a tarot reading every morning at 7 a.m. And I've been watching that. He's an interpretive reader, an intuitive reader. I mean, everybody's an intuitive reader. You need a lot of intuition to read tarot cards, no matter how you understand them. I'm not as intuitive. As I said, that's too late for me for that, because I know what all the cards mean. But of course, how they interact together is that's the intuitive part of reading tarot cards. And you could know every last detail about what the cards mean and their history and everything else, and it wouldn't do you a lick of good without a lot of intuition, because you have to create the story. You have to form the intention and make the invocation. So all of those are obviously intuitive. And I've been following all kinds of very interesting readers on, oh my God, how I love YouTube. But I think I'm ready to get down to it, and it isn't going to be, I don't like to work on things I've discovered. I kind of shirk away. I'm a shirker when it comes to work. Doesn't mean I can't work hard. I certainly do when something takes my interest. But this has more to do with, this is what I'm playing at. This is what I'm playing at these days. So if anybody would very kindly share their thoughts about the Fool and Death, anything that might come to mind about the Fool and Death, as I embark on this journey, I would very, very much appreciate any input anybody's willing to give me. So perhaps we will see you soon, if it's in the cards.